Kathy.
Well, you'll be up first.
Oh, golly.
You will be a subject of conversation.
Hey, Tony, Tony, did you want to address the council on anything? If you do, I'll be glad to call you up after Kathy, or, okay. No, well, we try and get you guys out of here as quick as you can. We appreciate you coming, so we don't make you stay longer than you need to. All right, I've got 7:31. I'll assume the cameras are on. If somebody is up at the CMC, why don't you give us a camera nod to let us know we There we go, okay. All right, that was a big nod there. Okay, I will call this June 1st meeting of the Airy Town Council order. Let's start with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up, actually, we've got, it's listed, it lists Delegate Afzali under presentations. Did you have a presentation, or is that just how we have it?
Just
Okay.
how we have it.
She
Welcome.
herself is a president.
Okay.
There you go.
I wasn't sure about how it was listed on here, so welcome and thank you for coming as always.
I didn't really have anything to present other than to say congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And to all of the three that two re-elected and one newly elected. So we'll be sure to harass you as much as possible, I'm sure. It's called a hazing period. I'm sure you've been receiving it, no doubt. So so I'm here to listen, answer any questions. We had an amazing year, probably the best year I've had in the state capitol. I think with just new blood, new excitement, newly elected, half of the legislature turned over. I think new blood is a good thing. And just the excitement of people coming in with new ideas, new ways of looking at things, and a really amazingly different sense of camaraderie between both, not only just political parties, but between the Senate and the House of Delegates, and really a willingness, I think, to put whatever is past behind us and to work forward to the best of our ability for the future and the people that we serve. And we got some amazing stuff passed, good things for towns. I hopefully, maybe you're seeing some increases in your road revenue. I don't know if that's come through yet, but if it hasn't, I'm thinking that it will very soon. So that's good. And we've had just very, very strong glimmers of hope with regards to the budget. I know you've heard some of the negative that has been expressed in the press in terms of some funding. But if there's complaints you have or difficulties with any funding, you know who to call. You call your delegate. And I'll be sure to figure out who else you should talk to that has some kind of sense of power or some power. But I'll try to lead you in the right direction for who to talk to. But anyway, it's just, it's an exciting time for the state. I think it's kind of a rebirth of enthusiasm and new vigor. And as a lot of the new delegates learn their job and learned their new responsibilities, I'm considered a veteran, and that's a little bit scary because I've only been there, this is my 5th year, and I'm considered one of the veterans. So that just tells you how new and exciting it is. So anyway, I am always here to help you and to serve you to the best of my ability. So most of you have my card. If you don't, I have made sure that I filled my purse with some cards if you ever needed to reach me for any purpose. And just want to be here to listen to everything that you want to talk about tonight. And if you have things that are happening that have to do with the state, you never know, I might pop my hand up and pitch in a little bit. So anyway, that's it. Any questions? Anything to say?
No, I just want to thank you for your service, for coming out to our town, for working on Rails to Trails. And we do have an ethics issue on the table tonight. So
Okay, good. Excellent. I have a feeling I know what it's about. There was a bill that, I think there was a bill that passed, or, no, it didn't pass.
Yeah, one bill failed.
Right.
It failed.
Well, we'd
yeah.
spoken to you about, I think we discussed it with you when you were here
We've
last
talked
time.
about it before. and it did go down. There's issues with it. So, but again, I'd like to talk to you about what are the issues that are facing you. And there was someone who brought. There were some delegates and senators that brought it forward, and it just died because of because of the ripple effect of if you change it for one, then you change it for others. But yeah, I want to listen. So
Good.
Thanks.
okay,
Thank you, Ken.
that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we have Tony Chimilek here from Frederick County. Welcome.
It's just a coincidence tonight that Kathy and I are here on the same evening, I think. But I thank you all for allowing me to address you. And actually, I want to apologize for not coming here sooner. Been in office for 6 months, and Mount Airy is part of my district. And as a new council member myself, I'm still learning all the ropes and everything. I want to offer my congratulations that those were re-elected and the newly elected. I think that's great to have that here. I'm interested in doing whatever I can do to help the town of Mount Airy. Whatever your concerns are that I can help along with the county, I'm here for you to do that. If you did not know, I've recently met with Chief Owens from Frederick County and the Mount Airy Fire Department, and we're going to try and iron out some of those differences we've had over the years. I'm actually trying to, I don't mind saying it, I'm probably not the most politically astute person in the world, but I'm actually lobbying for funds more for the Mount Airy Fire Department, because I do realize the incredible service that they perform not only for Carroll but for Frederick County, and the number of calls that they're running into Frederick County. So I have been made aware of that, and I am reaching out along with Chief Owens, and the county executive is aware of that. And hopefully something will come from those negotiations in the next year or so as we try to reorganize things. I know in the past with the fire tax it was an issue, and Mount Airy was kind of left hanging out there, and I for one didn't think that was good at all. So, but other than that, Kathy here, Delegate Sally, I am here to for you all, whatever you might need for assistance with the county, for any of your needs, or if you're having any stumbling blocks, I'm always here to be contacted, and please don't hesitate to do so. Great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
and thanks for raising that issue. I know when we
Very
all
much
were
so.
together at
Very
the fire
much.
company dinner, we broached that subject, which has been around for a long time.
Well,
So
I know
we
they've been
appreciate you
important.
keeping it going.
Yep, and we will, so that'll be ongoing. Oh gosh, there was one other thing. Nope, but that's it, and you'll probably see me here all evening, so I look forward to listening to your debates and conversations. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we've got approval of minutes. We've got the May 4th council meeting, the May 4th public hearing, the May 4th closed meeting, and the May 18th special council meeting, which was the swearing in and everything.
I'll make a motion to approve them all. There was, I think somebody else wrote it was about the closed minutes and Jason.
I had a single
You had a
reference about the
single
closed
reference.
minutes, which was only the way it was
That
titled, so.
changed?
So that was changed. So I will second that motion. Anything else? Any other? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, police report.
Afternoon, how's everybody?
Hi, all right yourself?
Good,
Thanks for
good,
being here.
Good, thank you. Glad to be here. Corporal Stephen Johnson, representing the Maryland State Police with your Maryland State Police Town Police Report. Total calls for service, we handled 386 calls for service and assisted the barrack with 10 calls out of town. 6 adult arrests this month, 1 DUI, we had 2 warrant arrests. As far as business checks and premise checks, we checked 180 premises between residences, businesses, and 37 school checks. Made a total of 138 traffic stops with 62 citations and 89 warnings. And accidents were up a little bit. We had a huge festival in town this past month, so they came up a little bit with the 10,000 extra people we had come through. 21 total accidents, four actually were on accident reports, and 13 were superficial minor accidents. As far as reports, the majority of our 28 investigation reports this month were mostly thefts. 11 thefts, employee thefts, shoplifting, property and vehicles, left in vehicles, and we had 1 car actually stolen from town. Everything else was anything from counterfeit bills to minor assaults. And that's my police report. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, I just want to make a statement for the residents of Mount Airy. Lock your car doors. This is a safe town. We don't have person-on-person crime, or not much of it. But we do have petty thefts from cars. Lock your car doors.
If I can offer a suggestion, with these towns and the houses being so close to one another, it's very easy. People come in from out of town. They've told me before when I've caught them. It's easy because nobody locks their door. They leave everything in their people leave everything in their vehicles. If you don't leave anything in there, they're not going to take anything. They won't break your window if they don't see anything in there. So if you're locking your doors and still leaving a purse or something inside your vehicle for them to see, they'll bust your window and take it. But if they don't see anything and there's nothing in there to take, you don't have
Well,
any
that's true
worries.
too. So even if you lock them, don't leave anything in your car.
Exactly, because they'll go through it. And if you have a GPS or something up in your window, they look for the marks on the windshield where it sticks to the window. Just little things like that they look for. Or they'll just walk by random houses and just walk by cars and just pull a handle. If it opens, they're going in and looking around. If it doesn't, they're moving on to the next vehicle. So,
Yeah.
Just a question, the Celtic Festival, did you have much problem with the Celtic Festival with traffic, or was it what you expected? Did you have enough police there to handle the traffic, or?
we were okay. It was just a little bit busy. But they was backing up all the way down 27.
Did you get many complaints? I never heard any complaints. Did
The
you? hear?
Barrack got a few calls for traffic backup,
Yeah.
but once we explained it, it was
Yeah.
okay.
We have a gentleman here from Celtic, just a little, if it's any questions, he can answer maybe for us, but,
No questions. We handled it. It's just
Okay.
everybody thought there was a big accident because the traffic was
Right.
backed up.
Were 3 officers enough?
We only actually had 2, sir. And
What happened to the third?
he was out of town. 2 of my guys are actually out of the state.
Okay. All right. We'll just have to better coordination next time. We probably did good with 2 then. Yeah, because going forward, we're going to start dedicating police officers, and we actually want them dedicated unless there's an officer that needs assistance as far as an officer down or something like that. Other than that, the town taxpayers are going to pay to have troopers there, and they expect to have them there and not be called off for a routine traffic.
No, they were there. They were there all
Okay.
day. both
Well,
of them.
we're
Okay. I was
having-
under the impression we had 3.
well, we're gonna have another festival coming up July
And
3rd.
we're going to be meeting on that.
Same way. you
Same
know.
thing, yeah, because in the past, we didn't dedicate the police officers to that,
Right.
and in the past, there's been problems, they get pulled.
Okay, I understand now. So
We want to
you're
make sure
actually
they do not
dedicating-
get pulled, because
Okay.
these festivals are important to
Well, my
us, too.
4 guys, we just transitioned to a new schedule, and 2 of those guys were already out of the state. And I had a exam that day,
Okay.
so I
all
only
right.
had 2
Well,
guys that I could
We'll work it out,
dedicate.
because we're going to be getting together on the July 3rd ceremony, too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's
All
good.
right, guys. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. All right, I've got the volunteer fire company report. I'll just give us a quick read. Total numbers, 107 calls in Carroll, 92 in Frederick, 8 in Howard, 7 in Montgomery. And I'll just give you a breakdown. Under the rescue side, 97 Carroll, 82 Frederick, 3 Howard, 5 Montgomery. And then on the fire side, they had 10 in Carroll, 10 in Frederick, 5 in Howard, and 2 in Montgomery. And that would be the Manor Volunteer Fire Company report for this month. Up next, we have community concerns, citizen comments. This is the time when anybody who wants to address anything with the council just needs to come up to the podium and
I don't mind going first, if you don't mind me going first.
no, go right ahead. That's what it's here
No-
for.
No kilt today, no shtick, no prepared anything. I basically came today to be the person who catches any of the arrows that might be fired towards the council or anybody else in regard to the traffic on Saturday, May 9th. I'm the one that should be doing that, not you guys.
I didn't get any.
I didn't hear anything.
Well,
It's
I'm
a
glad
good
to hear
problem to
that.
have. Our
Yeah,
businesses
I will
appreciate
tell
it.
you that this festival this year exceeded our expectations. We were thinking between 8,000 and 10,000 people as a high number. If it was a sunny day, it turned out to be a very sunny day, and we know that we had about 9,500 based on ticket sales, wristbands given, participants, badges, things like that. So it was pretty intense. It really was. We know some of the areas that need improvement for better traffic management, and we'll work on that for next year. But I will tell you that we had people come to Mount Airy from at least 25 states, Canada, England, and Scotland. We actually had a dignitary from Scotland who is the keeper of the castle for Clan Menzies. So he was here for the weekend. We also had the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard here, so he got to spend the day in Mount Airy, and it turned out to be a great day. And I hope the people in the area enjoyed the festival and had a good time, and I hope they all will be willing to come back next year.
Did we get a little rain? Because every year we get rain. I thought we
Yeah.
had a little rain.
It did
No, it's,
very nice.
In the
perfect
morning, there was
In the
just a
morning, I
hint
thought
of
we had a
mist,
hint.
yeah.
Does
Yeah.
keep the dust down.
We're so lucky. We always get rain.
Yeah.
So, good.
Yeah,
Good
in
stuff.
fact, we have Celtic night with the Frederick Keys tonight, and it's raining the game out, just like last year.
You guys are bringing rain.
Yeah,
Scottish
fine
weather.
Scottish weather. But it was a great day, it really was. And I appreciate the mayor coming out. He was there for the opening ceremonies. clad in his kilt again, so, he
Always
kept,
a lot of fun.
yeah, he kept running around when nobody was looking, he'd go, "Freedom," you know?
Did not.
So, next year.
This is televised.
There's an opportunity to do some fundraising with the festival. We'd love to have the town jump in on that. There's money to be had. Maybe a kilt to council again or something like that to raise some money. And I know there's places that it can go, and we're willing to work with you guys on that.
Well, thank you for thinking of Mount Airy for your festival.
All right, well, we appreciate it. We
Thank you, Joe.
all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other citizen concerns, citizen comments? Hello, Roxanne?
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
What's the thing attached to the stop sign by my house?
Thing attached to the stop
Is
sign.
it
by the
see
a
house.
it there.
camera?
I seen it there today too, that, I think I may have some.
Is it for counting cars? If it's a camera, we
Yeah.
need to notify everybody that that's a camera.
I seen it there today, but Barney's off 6, I don't know, maybe she can answer.
Tony,
it,
do you know what it is?
No.
That's
It's-
what I would think.
it's very-
That's all we
it's-
have.
It's a long, it's attached to the stop sign.
Yeah, I seen it
It's long,
today.
and at the very top, there's what looks like a little camera, but with the 27 traffic study, is it counting
I
the
don't think- I
cars?
don't-
It's counting the cars.
I don't think they've. Yeah, but they've not
No.
started putting out stuff, have they yet?
Uh-uh.
No, it's, yeah.
Now Kathy said there was something in the paper.
Yes, yeah, we're having a traffic study done, and they're gonna use cameras basically to count the cars. But my understanding is, and I talked to Heather this morning, I don't think they've started anything, there's still a holdup on
Yeah,
everything,
so when it starts to rotate and look in my house, no, I'm only kidding.
I did see it too, yeah. I see him installing it today too, and I.
Okay, guys, Roxanne found out we're spying on her, we're caught.
We'll find out for
I
you.
just wanna know.
I'll find out and let you know.
I'm sending Brian a text now to find
Okay,
out.
Russell Wilson just walked in back here. Roger Wilson, I'm sorry. And he is, he's Jan Gardner's executive assistant.
Yes, he's
And
been here
I don't know
before,
if you I
welcome.
don't know if you wanted to say something before the time went or not.
He's a bigger deal than an executive.
It's okay.
Makes Jan feel very comfortable.
It's okay. Yeah. Let's see. Causing trouble already. Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Roger Wilson. My address is 1816 River Mist Court, Frederick, Maryland. Good to be here tonight. I am the County Executive's Director for Government Affairs and Public Policy. And it's a new role in the county. Nice to see you, Mayor. You weren't here the last time that I came out. But it's a new role within the county. It's sort of like the executive liaison that Dave Dunn used to be in the role of, okay? And so it's great. It's always great to come out to Mount Airy. Been spending a lot of time with a council member right here, Bob King, and good to see you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So congratulations to the new council member. Okay.
Jason.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, good. Looking forward to working with you, okay? All right. The county executive sends her greetings and well wishes, and looking forward to talking with you more. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mayor.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you for being here.
Thanks.
For your service.
Thank you.
Give our best to Jan.
All right, doesn't look like we got anybody else. Let's move on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2015-5, this is the, basically the peddler's license section. All right, I will, so we can start discussion, I will move that we adopt 2015-5. I see a second from Scott. Anybody have any comments on anything?
It's a whole lot of words to keep people from peddling and getting a license and doing it from 9 to 6.
Yeah.
It's a lot of,
I think it's gonna be very difficult to enforce.
Well, I guess I did have a couple questions myself. On page 3 of 7, section L. just, you can't, I know you can't read my handwriting, but.
Sorry?
I was, we're asking for a report from the Home Improvement Commission about their license, but that's something that can just, is available online. So I don't know that we really would need, if they give us a number, you can just type that in, or you can just type in their name, and we can find out, exactly how long they're registered. So I was wondering why we,
Isn't the purpose of we don't have to do the legwork, but having said that,
I mean, we're gonna investigate these people anyways. That
What
should
I
be a
do is
basic thing we're gonna do.
I'll take all this information, and I have to go and verify all.
Right.
as I said, we have to verify it
So,
anyway.
so I'm wondering, why do we make them get a letter if they just give us their number and their data? We just punch it in the state. I mean, I have a link to it on my computer. I just go in there, put in the number, and check it.
Can I say one thing? We're actually not trying to make it easier for people to get a
No, I
vendor's
know.
license in town. The purpose is we're trying to live up to the First Amendment, where we have to let them come into town. We're not trying to make it easier. So if the intent is to change that to make it easier, I would urge you not to.
Well, and I'm not interested in making it easier, but it sure seems to put our people through a lot of hoops, is what I'm saying. It puts Debbie through a lot of hoops to do all that, the information that she has to have these people comply with the law.
It does somewhat, but we actually, going through this, we tried to put the burden on the applicant
Right.
as much as possible. We certainly have to verify it. We can't take their paperwork. I see your point. It's valid, but
That was my only comment.
yeah, I mean, Debbie is the one that helped put this together, so.
I mean, I'm gonna vote for this, but it just seems like it puts a whole lot of work on you.
I mean, if there's a
To
way
make
to
sure-
streamline it.
As a
make
practical
sure-
matter, I think there are gonna be very few of these.
Well,
I have
my hope-
received-
We've had one in the 100-something-year existence of the
I have
town.
received more calls than in my 28 years here in the last couple months of people wanting to get in before.
Oh,
fees
before
go
this
up,
passes.
Before all this passes. Yeah.
and I was out campaigning just a couple of weeks ago, it seems like, and people in Wildwood were yelling through their doors, "Can't you read? No solicitors."
It's
So-
bad when they said, Bob King, can't you read this?"
But, I mean, I'm for this, but I just don't want you to be burdened with work.
It's part of my job. I
Okay.
do what I need to do.
If you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable.
I'll
Well-
do whatever.
My question was, we're asking them for something, and my question was twofold. Tom, I don't know this because I've never done it. Does the Maryland Home Improvement Commission, will they give you a letter
Yeah.
that says, or do they just say, hey, go online and check it?
Sure, they will tell you whether or not there are complaints or have been complaints against a home improvement contractor, and you can determine what the results of those complaints have been. I think that the idea, the way it, I think as the mayor indicated, the idea was, the concern is that if we pass an ordinance that puts the onus on us rather than on the applicant, and I'm not saying this would be a valid legal claim, but you always have the potential that somebody could come forward and say, well, you didn't
You didn't
do,
check.
you didn't check. This now puts the onus on the applicant to present something from the Home Improvement Commission, rather than us go seek it out.
And that does make it a little easier for me.
No, okay.
honestly.
And I got the same or similar question on section M with the Better Business Bureau, because that's not a governmental entity.
But we can, when we look it up, it tells whether or
Correct,
not
you look
there
it
are
up.
complaints or
Right.
whatever. But whatever they can give to us, Tom, and I
Because
had
I'm wondering, like, do
discussed
they just print out a copy of their webpage? That, you go to the Better, you can go to the Better Business Bureau,
this.
put somebody
The other
in.
gentleman actually gave us a letter.
Okay, so Better Business, okay, well, that was,
He did.
part of my
I don't
question was,
know.
does the Better Business Bureau, will they issue you a letter? But I guess they do. That answers that question. I wasn't sure whether what we were asking for
Some
existed.
kind of statement he gave us.
Okay.
He gave us everything we had asked for.
Right,
so
I wanted to make
mean,
sure what we were asking for existed.
And if not, I can maybe, I'll of course check with Pat, but
Yeah.
I can,
Well, we'll see. If
Change it
it
if we
becomes a
need to.
problem, we can change it. Okay. Those would be
And this is
my only
really to
issues.
ensure that if people are going door to door in the town of Mount Airy, they've been checked, they've been vetted, they've been checked through the Better Business Bureau, they've been checked through
Right.
several different sources. So if they're knocking on your door, we've done everything we can, but
To make sure they're legitimate.
yeah, we need to protect everyone's First Amendment rights as well. And there's your answer from Brian coming in on here.
All right, any other comments or questions?
So the mayor made a statement that anybody knocking on your door has been vetted and approved, just to clarify.
Any
there are-
peddler knocking on your door?
Well, there are people that knock on our door that aren't vetted and approved.
Let me expand on that. Anybody that's gonna wear a Town of Mount Airy peddler's license clearly displays that says, if you want them to go away, they will, has been vetted. Anybody
So in
knocking
the
on your
instance
door.
that they aren't,
If
then.
they're not wearing that license,
And what are we telling the citizens to
Right.
do if they're, I think that's what you're getting at.
I'm
What
going
are we
there.
telling the citizens to do should, you know, somebody come that doesn't have a peddler's license? They got a nice little name badge there and all that
Because
kind of
this
stuff.
outlines what do they need to do to get an official
So
form,
we
but
call
it
the
doesn't say
state
what do you do
police?
if they don't have the
Yes.
form.
So we call the police on those
And
people.
I've had older residents call and say, I don't wanna bother them. I said, you're paying for these people to help you through these situations.
We have the same problem where there's all this vandalism and stuff that occurs and they don't call the police because it's neighborhood kids and they don't want to get them in trouble.
sure.
But I've also had some older people call in a panic because the people are like pushing down their door.
Yeah.
And it's not the ones that has the one that has the license, it's the ones that nobody knows about.
Right,
And I must say, when we call the troopers now, they're on it,
good.
Yeah, they're
Good.
very responsive.
so.
All right.
Just one last
Jason?
question.
Mm-hmm.
It does say 9 to 6. Is there, are they doing this 7 days a week? I didn't see anything. 7 days a week, Sundays?
Yeah, it was 7 days
Okay.
a week.
All right.
We originally had discussions, Jason, whether we were gonna try and limit it Monday through Friday and had all these other stipulations, and then we had decided, well, why don't we try the 9 to 6 first, and if we need to be more restrictive, then we'll come back and revisit it and say that we need to lock it down even tighter.
And it ended up cutting about 4 pages off the
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That looks unanimous to me. Up next, all right.
Can I slip in?
Sure.
To your question, the only device that we know about would be the speed boxes. So the town is not aware of this box. Monica, would you mind checking that out,
Sure.
letting us know?
I'll
what's
just
out there?
assume right now that it's associated with the Maryland Quarter Study, but I'll check it.
Well, we're gonna go out and check it out, so there's no need for you to take a picture. Thank you.
All right, sure. All right, town prioritization. This is something we started a few months ago, but Scott, you wanted this on, so I'll let you take the lead.
Yeah, so I know we discussed it a few months ago, and there's been some questions from the community as a whole of what are we doing about prioritization? We talked a lot, we had a lot of presentations. We never finalized where we wanted to go with things, or at least what this body thought, hey, if we had to make a decision and ranking projects around town, how we wanted to execute that. So what I wanted to do tonight, and I just talked to Peter about, is just to give it a loose prioritization right now. So everybody take a piece of paper, we just list the projects that we have, put a score, so however many we have, and it's nothing official, but it just kind of helps us get it together. So each person take a piece of paper, we'll write down the projects. Peter and I were talking briefly at the beginning, and.
Are we gonna be given a list of projects
Yes.
for us to prioritize?
Right, so what, the five that we ended up starting with, when Peter and I were talking, we can all write them down, is we had the Rails to Trails, Police Force, Flatiron Building, Community Center, and Center Street. If there's any other ones, let's talk about them now, just put them on the list.
Water.
Water, that's fine, so let's put water on there too.
That's the only other one I could add.
Anything else?
Kinda feel like we're playing Family Feud.
Yeah, we are,
Yeah.
Jason,
Looking for the board.
do you have anything?
You mentioned Flatiron.
Yep.
I think that was one of the top ones that I had.
What
so.
was the complete list again?
So,
Yeah.
Rails to Trails, I'll write them down. Police Force,
Scott, could you hand me one of those sheets of paper, just in case you're interested, what the mayor would like to have prioritized?
Oh, God, now it's his meeting.
well, we'll entertain it. Flatiron.
His
Community
vote should only
Center,
count.
Center Street and water. Anything else? I'll go around the room. Peter, did you have anything else? Rails to Trails,
Right.
Police Force, Flatiron, Community
Community
Center
Center, that's the one I'm missing.
is the fourth one.
Right.
Fifth one
I
is
was
Center
missing that
Street. And the sixth one that we have on the list so far is water.
I'm sorry,
Anything else?
water went number 1 on my list.
Well, yeah. I'm just doing them in the order that they were listed.
Can I just, I may want to add one more.
Sure.
I know that there was discussion about a park, Windy Ridge.
Okay? Windy Ridge will be number 7.
And I think the thing with Windy Ridge is actually the access to.
Did you have any?
Is that
No.
access or development or both?
Yeah.
Huh?
Access or development or both?
I think we were
access
talking
right now.
access.
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll just say access. So everybody go through, we have 7 things that are listed, just rank them, each one gets a unique number. Each one gets a unique number out of your choice from 1 to 7, and then I'll total them up, and then I'll end up giving them to Peter as we continue on and figure out where we are.
One's the
Dick?
highest.
When you talk
Yes,
about,
1's the highest, 7's the lowest.
when you talk about capital projects, actually, we have a major stormwater management obligation, and that probably should be in your prioritization list.
Okay,
But I think that's one of the things we're just gonna do anyway, we have to do anyways when it,
But you have to fund it.
right.
Yeah, that's-
800-something thousand.
so let's put stormwater on there.
I've already numbered them all.
You're fine. All right, that's it, 8, right? Good.
It should be last anyway, so it's really.
One's gonna be the best, right?
1's the top.
I didn't see anywhere for a pay increase for the mayor.
Yeah, that's
Do I wanna add that?
By the way, Charlene
We
printed checks
discussed that
today.
at the closed meeting, and
Oh, it didn't.
no, another year. In fact.
Scott, you want these?
Okay, yep, everybody give them to me, and then what I'll do is I'm just gonna add them up, divide by 8, and that'll give us our scores. And
There you go,
I'll give
Scott.
them to you in a minute.
All right,
You want to calculate?
sure.
As you, I guess you've already finished it on the unofficial prioritization, but I discovered something last week, that I'd never heard of before, and I was kind of surprised at it regarding the Flatiron Building. And what I was told was that when the Flatiron Building was purchased in the 50s, it was purchased with the intent of one thing happening with it.
Tear it
And the
down.
mayor said
That
it's
is
going
correct.
up and down.
That is correct.
Tear it down.
They were gonna tear it down.
Right
Yeah.
now?
What happened to that? Just keep it in mind.
They didn't have their priorities straight.
So we're waiting for the mayor.
Waiting for you, Pat.
Oh, I was just saying, what would we do with all the pictures? if we
I know.
took them?
All right, thank you very much. So Peter, if you
Were
want
we
to
supposed to put our names
Sure.
on there?
No, but that's fine.
Okay, we've got the fat, oil, and grease variance requests. We had 2 of those. Bob, or was that a hand up, Bob?
Yeah, I just noticed a couple of typos here that we're gonna have to deal with. First one's on the wrong letterhead.
Oh, yeah. They said, well, I guess, but when it was dated, it wasn't.
Okay, May the 12th. And also in the one from,
There's superfoods and the,
it's not the superfoods, but the other one, if
Okay.
you go down to the 4th chapter, it says exempt superfoods on Main from the following. It's right at the end of the 4th paragraph. And it is the variance request from the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints.
oh, I do see it. You're correct. I underlined it, Debbie, if you can see it from that far. I think they just took the, the form
read
letter
mine?
and redid it.
It looks
Dick,
like.
Dick,
That's not your writing, is it?
yeah, I will say, I have not yet met with
Yes.
Water and Sewer, because their meeting's tomorrow night at 7. I will be here, or expect to be here. It's Wednesday at 7.
wrote it
I
for
thought it was
8.
tomorrow at 7, okay.
Ooh,
I'm
that's
glad I
not
asked.
the 8.
Okay,
It'll just go like that.
is there anything we need to know about these, or is it just routine requests?
Teaching.
No, these are routine, and you've passed similar requests in the past. So
Yes.
Water and Sewer endorses them and suggests go ahead and
I
pass
will move we accept both of these.
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? I mean, I don't know that we really need to deal with that change. We all know who it is.
Right. But I think we send them, do we send them this? Or is this to us? Okay. Okay.
All right, I will, I guess we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous? All right. State ethics ordinance. That was a 2014-3. As you can see, we got a letter back from the State Ethics Commission, I guess complaining that we have not passed an ordinance to fall in line. Dick, do you want to put on your ordinance, your ethics ordinance, your ethics chair hat? Or Tom, do you want to address this? I'm not sure.
I mean, I have spoken to the Gaithersburg town attorney, or city attorney, as well as the Westminster city attorney. As you'll recall, both have made sort of different but yet similar responses to the state ethics, essentially saying, number one, that in the case of, I believe, Westminster, or I'm sorry, Gaithersburg, that they have adopted something that is not quite what state ethics believes they should have, but they believe comes close enough. And Westminster, I believe, will be in the same boat as I think they take up, if I recall the conversation correctly, they will take up an ordinance that, you know, meets state ethics halfway, maybe even more than halfway, but does not completely adopt the model code that has been recommended by state ethics. State ethics has similarly sent them letters as they have sent us, essentially finding or charging them with not being in compliance, and that they will post on the state ethics website, you know, those municipalities for not adopting the model code. Their response has been, in one instance, as I reported previously in Westminster, that they have filed suit against state ethics to get some sort of...
So Westminster has filed that in action?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
they have, and it is pending before the Circuit Court for Carroll County. Certain responses have been made by state ethics that essentially, boiled to their essentials, says that state ethics really has no enforcement power, they say. That they are basically advisory to the municipalities as to whether or not whatever they adopt complies with state law, which is an interesting position because they do have some enforcement mechanism. In the other instance, Gaithersburg, they've chosen to essentially follow an internal procedure with state ethics to essentially challenge state ethics' own determination that the Gaithersburg Code does not substantially comply with state ethics, and essentially have, boiled to its essentials means, appealed to state ethics itself, basically, rather than join the lawsuit that Westminster has filed. Both are citing a subsection of the ethics ordinance that, paraphrasing it, says that that the model code may be adjusted to suit the needs of local the local needs of municipalities. Now, obviously, state ethics would take the position that that means you may reorganize the model code to fit whatever organizational scheme you have in your code. You may renumber subsections, but you may not substantively change the model code. Gaithersburg and Westminster is taking the position that it is a more substantive provision than that, and that they are citing that subsection as a legal basis for having adopted some but not all of the provisions of the model code. So that's where they are. I think Gaithersburg has, and Westminster will, after its next meeting, send a letter back that essentially cites this provision, probably says something to the effect of that if you're going to list us on our on your web page, we would appreciate you also providing a copy of our response. If you're going to put us up publicly as not having complied, please also do us the courtesy of putting on the website and making public what our rebuttal is. So that's where things stand at this point with those other municipalities.
And I think that also shows that what they're really looking for, what the content of the letter was, that we're not giving a good faith effort. By doing so, Gaithersburg and Westminster are actually giving a good faith effort to respond, to comply.
Right.
So.
And we did, actually. We've actually
Well,
had them
now
here, and
yes,
we've tried to meet them
we
halfway and
have.
halfway and halfway, and they're just like, forget it.
Well, they've sent another letter, and now, you know, we need to show a good faith effort to comply and state our reasons why, if we're not gonna fully comply.
Well, question would be, Tom, you know, is the circuit court case something where, you know, Mount Airy would join or file an amicus brief? And would that work similarly in the Gaithersburg case as well? I don't know the administrative side of it.
In terms of, let me do the first part. In terms of the lawsuit, yes, I mean, you could probably move to intervene, to join. I don't think in the circuit court at the trial level you have the ability to file an amicus brief. That's stuff that's done at the higher courts, the appellate courts in Maryland. And as far as sort of joining Gaithersburg's efforts, we just do it ourselves in the same way that Gaithersburg. It would not be so much that our case would be joined with theirs, although it would follow a very similar path, basically. And I think that, what would kick that off would be a letter to state ethics, basically saying we believe we have, in good faith, complied. We have passed this ordinance some time ago, and cite the same section that Gaithersburg does about allowing some leeway at the local level.
Yeah, we actually gave a lot last time.
Yeah, I thought you all gave too much, actually. Has anybody at this table filled out the form?
I have.
That thick stack?
Yeah.
You have? Everybody has?
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah, I
out
filled
what
out,
Dick
I filled
gave
out a
us.
demonstrator of it, just to see what it was. Mine was like,
Now,
No, you
yours-
filled out the form.
Okay.
For the town of Mount Airy,
'Cause
based on.
I didn't understand it.
Huh?
You have to sit down and explain it to me.
Well, the Ethics Commission go through that and actually make some clarifications, but that actually is the form that complies with the Mount Airy Code, and there are two exceptions to Mount Airy Code in relation to the state ethics law. And my understanding is from, and I forgot the fellow's name that was here,
Wasn't
Yeah.
that Michael Lord?
Yes.
about
Yeah,
a year
yeah.
and a half ago. And he unequivocally said that all that the pro forma, the template that was put out by the state for elected officials' financial disclosure was a mirror image of what's in the law, and for the most part, he's correct. And it's long been the position of the Ethics Commission that the town of Mount Airy should comply with the law as it's written, and they should consider other actions such as we're recommending MML taking a stronger stand and the possibility of litigation. And I would just point out that Carroll County is under having the same problem, similar letter they received. And I know to some extent they're contemplating what their action is going to be, which may include legal action, and also citing that there's a possibility that this is a violation of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Fourth Amendment right to privacy because of the nature of the information that's being asked. It's also been the position of the Mount Airy Ethics Commission for several years that it is, and I can't tell you legally, but that it is an invasion of privacy, and if you collect unnecessary information for a local ethics commission to perform its duty. And the Mount Airy Ethics Commission has long stood and said that we believe there is information in there is being collected that is unnecessary to perform our mission. So there are, in addition to everything Tom said, some other factors involved in there. And the question is whether this new approach or of the State Ethics Commission is a change in position from its longstanding position in dealing with us, or is this just more of the rhetoric of discussion, because it's a legislative issue. It is not an issue with the State Ethics Commission. It is a legislative issue.
And if I remember
see, Kathy,
correctly,
you want to, you gotta take the podium because you will be on camera, so you can't say it from there. Just step up to the podium so that, and you can share it with Dick, but you gotta be on camera, so people who are in the audience watching can hear you.
So I'm trying to refresh my memory. The complaint that I think that I had heard when I was here the last time was the concerns over the financial
The
disclosures.
overreach of the disclosures.
Okay, so it's the financial disclosures more so than the campaign reporting. It was the
Oh,
financial
we don't have
disclosure.
really any campaign reporting
You don't
here,
have
'cause
that.
we
Okay, you
have
don't
it.
have to do a
Ours
state
was solely
campaign,
wanting,
yeah.
our argument was solely that we have to give up
Right.
personal information
Yeah.
that anybody can walk in off the street and find out about us.
So I think the argument that I had heard, because I remember speaking with some other representatives down there, and the argument that I heard was that it is not online, so it's not easily accessible to the general public, that it is something that someone has to go in to specifically request.
Correct.
Is that the case?
Right here.
Yes,
Town hall, right
anybody
to the
can come
glass
into
window.
town hall and request it, and they will be given it.
Right, right. And I know on the state delegates and senators have to fill out financial disclosure forms. The only thing that we have to report are those things that are directly related to business with the state. So in other words, let's say I own properties, and those properties have loans on them, and one of those loans is with Wells Fargo, one of those loans is with Bank of America, and one of those loans is with ABC. So the two loans that I have with Wells Fargo and Bank of America, because those two banks do business with the state, I disclose that. But the ABC Bank, they don't do business with the state, so I don't have to disclose
Ours
that.
goes beyond that.
Okay. So yours goes beyond, so it's
We
not.
would have to disclose all properties
Okay.
in any location. We had actually, one of our limits, as I recall, is at one point we'd said any property located in Frederick, Carroll, Howard, or Montgomery County, we would have to
The four
disclose.
counties.
And then I think we expanded it to any property in the state, and I think they still said that wasn't good enough.
They said basically any property anywhere in the world.
Do you
I
know
own
what?
property in Japan, I have to
would-
disclose it
You know,
and the details of it.
I'm going to go ahead and review that bill that was presented. Is it possible for me to get a copy of that financial disclosure form? Is that possible? The Mount, so
would be
it's
the guy.
not specific to Mount Airy, it's specific to all municipalities in the
Right.
state.
Well, it's supposed to be the same standard.
Well,
for
actually-
state employees all the way down to us.
Actually, a lot of municipalities were able to get exempted from it. Mount
Okay.
Airy, however, has been determined to be too large to be exempted.
Okay,
And
so maybe
obviously
that's,
Gaithersburg and Westminster, which are much larger, they're battling it as well.
Because they haven't been
We originally
exempted.
tried for an exemption, and they said, no, you're just too big.
okay.
You can't be
So that's
exempted.
something that maybe we can address, but if somebody could get me, I don't know who that somebody
Dick.
would be,
Dick would be the
Right
guy.
there.
To get it.
but that would be great, if I could get as much information on that,
We
and,
have to remember Dick's a volunteer, and
and maybe just simply, we need to just get a waiver from Mount Airy. Maybe
Well,
that's
and
what.
that would be fine, and we had tried that route. Our ethics
Yeah.
commission, took that
Has tried
route
to
at
do
some
that.
point, saying, hey, we should get waived like these other towns. We're like, no, you're too big.
So the things that you have to disclose are all the properties that you.
Well, I think Dick would be the best one to
Okay.
answer those questions directly.
would you-
Seems to
would
me
you take care of that
The
for us?
definition of immediate family was an issue.
Yeah, we argued with that one too, yeah.
Immediate family in terms of,
wife, children.
you have to list them on your.
No, if
We
you
have to list
minor
their property.
children that grandpa's been giving them $100 a month for, the last 25 years so they can afford college, it's gotta be disclosed.
That's
have
very,
something
very
kids are.
intrusive, isn't it? That is very intrusive.
That's right, Dick, that has to be
That's way more
disclosed, right?
intrusive than the state ethics.
Well, and then they tell
forms.
you, just sign the piece of paper. Nobody's enforcing this anyways, just sign the piece of paper.
Right, but you don't want to lie if
No.
you're signing your name. I understand. So, okay, all right. I do want to see all that, and I'll see what I can do. I
And our
don't,
latest MML magazine that we all just got within the last week has a very good article on this and about all of the things, the HUR money
Yeah.
and the ethics.
and this is
also.
disclosures that are specific to municipalities. It's not the same disclosures, I guess.
I don't know how similar it is to what you have. I will say, for example, one of the things we have to disclose is all stocks and bonds that we have, regardless of whether or not,
That's
they deal with the
crazy.
town, they deal with anything else. Because I remember one thing that I actually put in was I redrafted our code to match the SEC filing requirements. For the SEC filing, I think it was 5%. Yeah, if you own more than 5% of a corporate stock, then you have to do various disclosures. And I had changed ours to read, if it's a publicly traded stock and you own more than 5% of it, then you have to disclose it. But if it's, if I own a couple shares of General Motors, that doesn't have any
Right.
bearing to do with
Right,
anybody here in
exactly.
town. that was one of the things that they had rejected, the
And
Ethics
that's,
Commission.
and that was made clear on the financial close for the state legislature, was that unless it's somehow affected, you know, in other words, if I have a mutual fund with Fidelity.
Well, as I recall,
and
they
that
exempted
fund-
mutual
Exempted
funds. Am I
mutual
correct,
They
Dick?
exempted
Yes.
mutuals.
Mutual funds were exempted, as I recall, I think, Dick, weren't they?
We use the example of Ford Motor Company and buying vehicles. And, you know, at this level, we can't buy enough vehicles. Unless we give one to each town employee, you know, to have any effect on the stock.
Right,
So, you know, what's the
Okay.
need to report that?
yes, I agree. So I'm on it,
Right.
okay.
And
I'll
Dick has
do whatever I
graciously
can.
volunteered to get you the information that you need.
Yes.
That sounds good.
And
I
I'll give him my
thank
card and we'll
They gave her
we'll
a
be in
copy already.
contact.
Or did we voluntold him?
Okay.
See.
It's on your seat,
Wow, we're
Kathy.
good.
Dick?
I think what you need is, you need the section of the state law on financial disclosure for elected officials, the template of the financial disclosure statement for elected officials for municipalities, and the Mount Airy version of that. And I think that'll pretty much show, the State Ethics Commission position was that what is required of state elected officials and state employees is what should be required by all elected officials and municipalities. So I'm surprised that it's different, what you're saying, because they're saying it's no different, it's the same. And what the municipalities, particularly the Ethics Commission, Mount Airy, has been arguing is that we are different in size, scope, power, influence, money, you name it. And therefore, the criteria should not be the same. So I will send you that information. Make sure I have a copy of your card, and you know, we can proceed from there.
Just a question, Dick, while you're up there. You know, it's a law, and the ethics doesn't have the power to change the law,
No.
and we got to comply with it. Now, we're beating a dead horse to death, I think. That's my feeling. We're
Well,
beating it to
actually,
death.
Tom raised an interesting point on the Westminster case.
I know, but that's-
Westminster's arguing.
Yeah, but unless
that
the
the
laws
Ethics
change, they're
Commission
not gonna
does
go
have-
anywhere, correct? Unless they change the law, it's not gonna go
Well,
anywhere.
but
Say that
Tom's,
ag- I'm sorry.
Unless the law is changed somehow, they're not gonna win that case.
Yeah, I mean, they may well not. I mean,
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we're beating a dead horse to death here. I have no
don't
problem filling
think-
this form out
I
at
don't
all.
think we're beating a dead horse. I think that there are times when you have to stand up and be counted. And this is one that we decided to
Well,
stand up
you
and
might,
be
wait a
counted.
minute now, I think you're right in a sense there.
Right.
But why are we gonna end up paying more money for the town? We're still gonna lose the case. I don't have no problem filling this out. I don't
we're
know
not
what y'all's
paying- we're
problem is,
not-
but I don't.
We're not paying any money yet, Ken.
We
Dick
will.
doesn't,
letting-
Dick doesn't charge us anything.
We're letting the other towns foot the bill so far. And actually, Tom pointed out that, I can't remember whether it was Westminster or Gaithersburg, that is actually taking the perspective that the ethics ordinance that the state has allows them to make changes to suit the individual locations.
that's right. In
And
other
they're-
words,
they're trying to force them to do that.
one of the legal challenges is that there are provisions that allow state ethics to grant waivers and modifications. And the challenge is that state ethics has been arbitrary in too rigidly using the size of a municipality as the barometer or the threshold where they will grant a waiver in one case and yet not in another. That state ethics has been arbitrary in doing that. So that's one of the legal challenges that Gaithersburg is raising, and I'm sure Westminster will raise it as well. Again, will it work? We don't know, but.
Pat?
I've had similar conversations with Gaithersburg, and I don't know if we're 100% sure that the ethics committee is even compliant with state law on all counts. I don't know that they're not exceeding state law in some cases.
Right, yeah, I mean, remember, what brought this on was a legislative act by the General Assembly that said, as respects conflicts of interest and financial disclosure, municipalities now must equal the requirements that are imposed on state legislators or candidates for public office at the state level. Then what happened is that the State Ethics Commission was charged with developing a model code that would presumably accomplish that and put it out to the municipalities to adopt. Now, when they did that, very frankly, and I think Dick will probably agree, it was very poorly drafted. And the cross-references made no sense in many instances, and it was very convoluted. So are there instances where they may have adopted, prepared a model code that goes beyond what the state legislators are required to disclose? It's possible, sure.
That's interesting that the code that was for municipalities uses the term legislative session, which is an indication that the Ethics Commission at the state level really has no understanding of a municipality or how it works. And plus, there were a lot of references that were wrong and stuff, and we wrote a letter to the state back saying, hey, you got to fix this, fix that, fix that. And I think they fixed the cross-references, but I don't think they even fixed the legislative session of it. So,
Pieces looked like it had been lifted from the state code
Yeah.
without proper modification.
right. But they argue there's no flexibility, even though it had those grammatical, or I guess, errors in it, that would not have changed the substance of the requirements at all. That's been their position right along. So I don't know what you want to do tonight. What it does say is that you should come to some conclusion tonight so you can respond to this letter with what your game plan is, because they either say pass or change the ordinance or give them your game plan. So,
Well, now, we did pass 2014-3, as I recall,
and this
which
letter-
was only a little bit off of where they were.
That's right. I
Right,
think
they're
our
only asking
ordinance
for two
goes a lot
changes.
closer.
Huh?
They're only asking for two changes, a little additional information on real property that you own, and eliminating that 5%
Right.
for your.
So they want, they want the
your
public to have access to every stock or bond we may
Right.
own.
You own
And
it.
every
So
piece,
you
and every
concede-
piece of real property we may own, wherever it may be in the world.
Everywhere is the
So
Well,
you concede or
actually,
you
the
explain,
ordinance
right?
that you passed does require disclosure of real property wherever owned. What
Yeah,
they're now
I do remember we
complaining about
accepted that.
is that our ordinance did not specifically spell out, as the model one does, the information that must be
Correct.
supplied relative to any such real estate holding, the name and address of all other owners or
Right,
joint
value
owners.
of the property.
Yes. Our ordinance does not contain that, although in substance, I think it does meet what they wanted in the end. And then the only other area where ours does not comply is the 5% on stocks and
Right.
ownership.
And I still have a problem with disclosure, because my wife, who I've been married to for 40 years, couldn't go into the hospital and demand my hospital records, okay, because of the HIPAA laws. And yet, anybody will be able to come into town hall, get my social security number, and get all the information that's on my forms.
For whatever reason.
Maybe not my social security number.
But they can get enough information
They
on
can
you.
get
We've
enough
already
information to
conceded that
make my
point,
life
though.
difficult.
That's not the
And I
issue.
do not want to open the Carroll County paper on some Sunday morning and read about my investment strategy or lack thereof.
But, and I agree with you, Councilman, but we've already conceded that. We have two issues on the table we need to address. Either you comply or you give a reason why you're not complying. Is that correct, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, that's what
That's
I
our
read
option,
our.
Chair.
Well, it's our-
Choose
it's our go-
comply
maybe-
or explain.
Well, I guess our goal is to either, we want to sit back and wait and see how Westminster and Gaithersburg do.
How long do we have? If we do not respond, we are not working in good
June
faith.
18th is what it says right here.
Okay.
But that
They'll
is.
meet on June the 18th.
What they propose doing, remember, is to simply list you
On the
among
Bad
other
Boy
municipalities on the Bad Boy website, that's right.
Well, let me suggest this.
Bad boy.
Just for the sake of and we've done this a few times, because we've kicked the can down the road several times, hoping the legislature would come through. I guess right back to them and let them know that we will take up a new ordinance at our July meeting, okay? So at our July meeting, we will look at a new ordinance. Of course, all we can do at the July meeting is introduce it. So we can't reach it until an August meeting at the soonest.
But we're working on it.
But we're working on it.
The letter's not addressed to me, so
Address to me. Yeah.
they quit writing me.
Yeah, one
They-
of, one,
Well, that's why I thought, because they used to write to you.
Yeah, he used
Yeah.
to write to me. I just pointed one thing out, but you made a
Well, now we're
statement.
going on the bad boy list.
You made a statement about.
So we should send
Yeah,
a letter
that's
of good
next thing.
faith then, right? So that they can,
Well, that's it, but is that a letter of good faith? I'll defer to council. Yes.
that we're working?
Yeah,
The
but-
letter would simply say that, you know, I mean, it could probably say that the council has kind of a new member and, you know, that we will present an ordinance that you.
Hold on, are you blaming this on me
demand.
now?
That's exactly what we did.
I'll take it.
You know. and
Well, I
that-
guess it would
that
come from you,
probably-
Pat, so I would say that's what you
Yeah.
want to do.
It comes from the council's pleasure,
Yeah.
third time with my signature.
Yeah, so something along those lines, I think, would be our consensus,
yes.
you know?
All right, I just want to make one final point.
Okay, Ken's saying no.
I think we should comply with it. There's nothing there that we
We-
can't
We've
comply with.
already complied. We've all
No,
filled
we
out,
haven't either.
filled out the
No.
statement.
No, you haven't complied.
No, you
Yeah,
haven't.
council-
You have complied with the Mount Airy code, not with the state code.
Not with
Okay,
state
well
Uh,
then I would suggest maybe Ken then should be tasked with coming up with one
code.
for July that meets, because we passed one that's real close to theirs.
All we gotta do is meet what Dick says, this code right here.
Well, we know, I can present to you one with the changes that would make you
Right.
compliant.
Yeah.
That's
I would
easy
say,
enough.
I would
They're
say
only
put it
two.
on the agenda for July, we'll introduce it.
It's right, it's the attached letter to their May letter.
Right, it's right there.
when it's- That's all you need
All right,
to do.
well then I
Now,
would,
when I ask before we do that, should we stand in support of Gaithersburg and Westminster? I mean, none of us have liked this from day one.
Absolutely.
So, but if you do capitulate, or whatever phrase you want to, you're kind of leaving them out there as well.
well, we're not saying that we're gonna pass it, we're just saying we're gonna
evaluate.
we're gonna bring it up for,
We need to get Jason.
we're gonna
up to
introduce
speed
it
and make
next
sure he's on
month,
board.
and we'll, vote on it in August or something, or September. I mean, just as from a legislative perspective, we couldn't have done it tonight anyways.
Right.
I mean, unless we were gonna go as an emergency type thing, which we typically have tried not to do.
And I don't think it's an emergency.
We introduce, and then at the next meeting, we actually bring it
It's
up,
been going
so.
on since 2010. It's definitely not an emergency.
What's the deadline the state ethics commission has to have?
Oh, several years ago.
Well, the new deadline.
June 18th. They're gonna meet on June 18th, so they have to
And they
receive
wanna
something
be,
ahead of
they want to
time.
be able to review this on June the 18th.
Yeah.
Write 'em a letter.
And-
tell
and
them
if-
to
Public
do
meeting.
something.
And if I make one final point,
Right to the bad boy
you
list.
had said that one of the things, I think this was the State Ethics Commission was saying that since you actually physically had to go to examine a financial disclosure statement, that would be enough of a deterrent that you wouldn't have widespread. And that's just another problem of perspective. You have the state of Maryland, you have the town of Mount Airy, 3 square miles,
2-point-something.
2-point-something square miles. Coming down Town Hall during business hours at some day is not a difficult task. So the things that are being kicked around in Annapolis and the explanations that are going on, really, like I said before, don't take into consideration a municipality of 9,700 people versus a county versus a state. And that lack of perspective that the legislature in general has, reinforced, I believe, by the State Ethics Commission, is not allowing the legislature to look at municipalities and pass legislation that is appropriate to the responsibility that these people have and what they should and don't need to be disclosed to the general public in a public document. So I go back and say, I think it's a legislative issue in the long run. It's been over 3 years, 3.5 years, and I think it's about time that the legislature got serious and addressed it and did something that was appropriate for all the elected officials and the state. And by the way, at 9,700 people, you talk about exemptions. Exemptions have been for 2,000 about people.
But they
And
did
also-
exempt about half the municipalities.
Right.
Yeah,
Half the municipalities.
About half the
57.
municipalities were
If-
exempted.
If,
I think
if
it's
you,
68.
if you
Yeah.
were to exempt Mount Airy, based on several considerations, one of which being your population, you would be exempting the vast majority of municipalities throughout the state. And the feeling there was, again, by the Ethics Commission, that that effectively undermined the whole law, because there were so few municipalities that would remain under the law that it didn't accomplish its objective.
And back to our state bill argument that failed was, we have enough trouble getting leaders at this level to even run for election, and when you put this burden on them, fewer and fewer people come forward.
That's correct.
That was the argument I made.
Yes.
Have you looked at Frederick counties? I don't know, our disclosures doesn't see anything like that, that's Roger. I filmed it right now for 5
That's why I'm
minutes.
curious to read it, because, yeah.
Huh.
Dave was due, was like, hey, this has to be interviewed, my assistant says, hey, did you get that in yet?
Yeah, but Frederick County, they always, I don't know if they have a good record of complying. Yeah, you probably have a one-page form.
Name, date, time.
Right.
And I didn't do nothing.
I'm just recommending
Yeah.
that you look at our
Right.
disclosures.
Sure.
Fine point. What we're really talking about is that the law passed by a municipality or county must be equal to or greater than the law of the state of Maryland. What you're looking at is the financial disclosure statement, which is a requirement of the local ethics commission, and they are allowed to apply that to meet the letter of the law as they understand it. Well, that gives some liberty there. And maybe Frederick County has been very liberal, and it's looking if you're having a short form versus actually what the state law requires and what the financial disclosure requirements, and requires the local ethics commissions to actually create a form. That form is not sent to the state, so I doubt they've seen it. So your form may or may not be, in their minds, compliant with state law.
Hey,
And
Dick?
he did tell us that there's nobody enforcing it.
It really doesn't matter.
Dick, you mentioned that, they mentioned the idea of the concept of people coming down here to town hall and getting it. But I think once somebody comes down here and gets it, there is nothing to prevent them from publishing it
Correct.
on the internet. So I wonder if this problem could,
Have it published.
yeah,
The Frederick News Post published the properties that elected officials own.
Yeah.
right. And same thing for us.
I thought it was really intrusive.
Right. Well, it's same thing for us. Somebody can come down here and find out, he so-and-so invested poorly. He bought stock in
Right.
JDS Uniphase and he lost a fortune, therefore he can't be trusted with your money. Or something like that.
About stocks in here. This is
It is. We battled over that substantially. If you look at ours is different from theirs only in that ours requires that you own 5% of a publicly traded company before you have to report it.
Well, and there's requirements for the definition
She
of
doesn't have
a
the
family.
ordinance.
Oh, okay.
She made that.
Okay.
I'm seeing this on our drive.
You're gonna get me that, right?
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Do you
Any
want a copy of our ordinance that we just passed?
other discussions on this topic for now?
So what is it that we're gonna do? We're
Thank
gonna
you.
write a letter?
We're gonna have one come on in July
We're
that
gonna
will
draft it
comply.
up, Bring it
And
forward,
we'll-
we'll introduce
I'll
whatever
prepare a
it is.
letter for the mayor.
Then we'll introduce it.
letter will be
We'll see where,
prior
we'll,
to June
we'll,
18th.
we'll see where it goes.
Peter.
Oh, yeah, so thanks, God, we got caught up in, okay. And the votes are, let's see, and thanks, Scott, for tabulating this. Number 1 was the Flatiron Building. We had a tie for number 2 at Water and Police. Number 3 was Center Street. Number 4 was the Rails to Trails. Number 5 was Stormwater. Number 6 was Community Center. And number 7 was Windy Ridge.
8. There was an
Well, there was
eight.
a tie for
Oh, there
2.
was a tie.
There was a tie for 2.
Go over it again.
All right, number 1, Flatiron Building. Number 2 was a tie between police and water. Number 3 was Center Street. Number 4, Rails to Trails. Number 5, Stormwater. Number 6, Community Center. Number 7, Windy Ridge.
So,
Scott?
everybody got that, so we don't have to do a third
Yep.
time?
Yep.
So what I'd like to potentially propose to the body is that now that we kind of have a loose prioritization, if we could take the amounts that we know for each of these projects that we've discussed, look at what we have, and then maybe come up with a plan of, here's something that we can execute, what is low-hanging fruit that we think that for the benefit of the town, fits into the budget as projects going forward, say, and I'm gonna make it up right now for everybody in the audience, police force. We say, okay, fine, we're gonna tackle the police force and maybe rails to trails, and that's gonna be the two that we're gonna try and target. Even if it changes because of priorities down the road of some emergency happens and Center Street get pushed up or Flatiron gets pushed up or whatever. But I wanna get some traction going, such as Councilman Everidge was trying to do and just didn't really get it genociding. I wanna start moving forward to say, let's stick a stake in the ground and then we'll move towards it. And if we don't go towards it and we go towards something else, that's great, but at least we're moving.
Okay, I got a question. For example, Center Street here, we're not discussing using any town funds on Center Street at this point. Center Street will be developed privately.
Well, and that's why I'm concerned. Well, this is a great idea. You need to do this. It's not without some explanation.
Right.
I mean, Center Street kind of threw me. What are you going to do with Center Street? I mean, everything else I kind of know. Community Center, you don't have a budget yet. That's going to
Right.
be presented probably next
And,
month.
and Community Center, we've been discussing with the Flatiron
the
Building.
community center
So
could
that's
be
number-
here to
That
here.
could
Number
take- you
six
could
and
kill two
number
birds with one
one.
stone on that
It
one.
could be, but to
That's-
address that question, Bob, if we end up, example, Center Street, so it's gonna be done privately, and that's what you're saying right now, and if that happens, great. If there's been discussions that we've had within the council of maybe we buy property, maybe we're doing community center, maybe there's some type of trade-off, we start working towards that goal. So if it's private purchase or execution of something, great, let's start getting that lined up and see where we're going with that project. That's our first project.
Okay,
That's
and
where we
I
should be
just
putting
want to
our
make
efforts
sure that, I
forward.
just want to make sure we're not comparing apples and oranges, that we're actually looking at the projects.
We need to focus our energies on things instead
Okay.
of kind of being across the board, hey, here's all these things, we'll just kind of keep talking about it and kicking it down the road. We need to start focusing and going, well,
I
if we're
don't
gonna
have
focus
any-
on Flatiron Building.
I don't have
then
any
maybe-
problem with that, but if something, when you're working on the Flatiron Building, if all of a sudden somebody comes up with money, maybe there's a private developer or a somebody that wants to be
Yeah, but these are all
involved in
could
that.
change due to anything.
Right,
Right,
That's
so
what-
right,
that's
this
what I'm trying
this
to
is
say.
a
It's-
point
this
in
is
time
fluid.
right now.
This is where it is today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it'll be different.
And it's a good point, just to bring up 2 points on that. If we do find, maybe there's some incentive you want to offer for Center Street. We
Right.
just looked at an incentive for downtown.
Right.
As far as, I think there was water and
Water
sewer tap
connection,
fees.
water
And
connection,
so
right.
maybe you would want to look at that, Scott, so that would be, so that's why I just want to
Right.
explain Center Street a little further. And even the community center, we don't know what that is. That could be zero money, it could be 5 million.
Right.
Right.
We don't know yet, but you're going to get those options. So
think-
just keep this as a work in progress.
Right, and the good thing about this is that now we have a prioritization, we can put some importance behind things. So the Flatiron Building, we all collectively agreed within the voting that that is our top priority. So now we need to start looking at, okay, we had bids that came forward of the lowest cost
Yeah.
solution to the biggest cost. We need to work on that. We need to start breaking that down and saying, let's move towards whatever that solution is, figure out where's the money coming from, is it private, et cetera.
Scott's 100% right, and to help you, I mean, you do have, and it's on the website, you have 5 options to choose from. The only thing that's holding you up is that community center study, 'cause that could be a part of it. That should be coming forward within the next month. You know, Barney's been out
Right.
sick, he talked to me today. That was supposed to be due this month. It should be due next month, and once that comes forward, then you all can really start getting some traction on this and make a. and
Make
you
a
know-
decision.
Make a decision on Flatiron, boom, it's gonna have
Yeah.
a community center element, it's not. Boom, make a decision, that's off your list, move to the next
Yep.
one. Scott's right.
And
Good
if,
job.
if we decide Flatiron isn't the one that we can focus on right this second, maybe the budget. For example, we don't have the $5 million solution or whatever at this time, but that's what we choose. It's like water. We go to the next one and we say, okay, what about police and water? That's our next priority. Do we get the money to do it? No? Okay, let's go down the list. And at least we can start knocking it off year by year and plan for budget in the future of, okay, well, the next year we want to do Flatiron Building, figure out how we can get that amount of money.
Well, we've got something here that at least gives everybody an idea what the people at this table think the priorities are. But the real people are out there watching on TV, and these might change dramatically by tomorrow afternoon.
So what Councilman King is suggesting is please write to your council members.
Absolutely.
Please write to Town Hall. Let us know what you think. You've heard some of the issues out there. They're going to be reported in the local papers. We need to hear from you.
And that's correct.
That's good, Bob.
That's what it's all about.
I just want to add on to that people do, if you have a concern or you want to bring up something, you do have to come to a meeting, write a letter, put something official out there, and that the, I don't want to, the online internet post and those types of things are not official, so we can't
Correct.
take those comments to heart. You actually have to
We're not
put,
tracking them.
put forth some of those efforts, come on in, talk to
Very good point.
You can
council
post it all
members.
you want on Facebook.
Very, it's a very
It
good
has
point,
no
Jason, 'cause
effect
there's
what
several of
happens
those
at the
out there
state.
from sites that,
Right.
I catch them every now and then, but we don't really track them.
Right.
Good
And
point.
and it's not official, so.
It's not helpful.
No one's hearing it, no
Not
one's hearing
overly.
all the
All right.
sides, so, thank you,
Ready to move
Councilman
on?
Strong, for bringing that forward.
All right, Community Legacy Program Agreement Approval. Heather discussed this with me this morning, I think, but who is gonna take the lead on this?
I think,
Huh?
This is big packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I did review this. I did try to get some changes to particularly the indemnity provisions and the insurance provisions, which when originally drafted, did not take into account that our, two things. One, that we maintain general liability insurance through legit with limits that are commiserate with our immunity. And secondly, we do not own the projects or the properties that will receive the upgraded facades. So they had us insuring those properties, which we don't. So they did agree to the adjustments to the language in the insurance provisions. They did not, however, take, and I didn't think they probably would, but did not take all of my changes. But the point is that they've made as many of the changes as they would allow. And I am at least satisfied that for the purposes of these grants, that the contract is as favorable as it can be to the town and has been negotiated as far as it can be negotiated.
All right. Well, I will, to get it forward, I will move that we accept the Community Legacy Agreement.
I'll second.
I got a second for Bob. Okay, discussion. I mean, this is one of those things we just kind of are rubber stamping so that we can get money.
Right.
Is there properties that apply for this, or do we go to them
I
and
think there's
ask them?
two properties that are due to get $50,000 each to, is that correct? Or is it $50,000 split between two properties?
I'm not sure. Melissa worked on this.
I don't know.
Page 101,
Melissa's
project budget.
Right.
In other words, already projects designated for this money?
It says 100K, it says 50.
I see Dick
50
jumping
Dick
up.
knows.
the other.
Oh, this, the amount
If
is
they-
involved in this
This is
too.
for grants that the town would issue up to 50% of a project's cost.
Right.
It's for commercial buildings in the downtown historic district, and the total is 60,000, isn't that? So that would, could fund a minimum of 120,000 worth of total facade renovation or more. But it's not a flat 50%, it's up to.
Yeah, is it,
And we have to-
like I say, is there properties that apply for this, or do we go to
Yes,
them? or-
They apply.
And we've had several that have done it.
We have 2 applications in-house.
As of now, there's two?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had, I know, for example, the pretzel shop, they used a facade grant for that. The pretzel shop used to be Blossom Basket.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
down-
Von Eye, okay. So we've had a couple of the commercial business down here that have used this grant. This is basically just what lets us stay in the program.
Right.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Vote on funding of fireworks. I will move that we authorize, was it 5,000?
4,500.
4,500, if need be, to handle funding the fireworks, and I see a second. Bob? Discussion, or is that just?
No, I'm.
I already had a
I'm
second
good.
from Scott over there.
Oh, okay.
You're
But
late on the.
you can second.
You can
my
third
second.
it there, okay.
Yeah, I'll third it then.
Yeah, I would just say, my only comment would be, I don't wanna see this become a permanent thing for the town to do it, but I realize that there may be times when somebody's gonna start the process and needs to know that money's gonna be there at the end of the day to pay it.
I don't see $5,000 for what goes on and what happens, and each one of us has been there, and that is an absolutely fabulous event. It's gotten better every year. 5,000, if we have to put 5,000 into a line item in the budget every year that made this money available, I don't have any problem with that at all.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that the town council stepping forward. I agree with Councilman King. I think the town should step up somewhat and let them know it's there. They've proven themselves, they have a track record.
Right.
They first came to me several years ago. Private industry did this on their own, now it's time for us, it's become a town event for us to step forward and to put it in the budget every year, but you'll get another chance to shoot at it. I appreciate.
Oh, I'm not
Councilman
shooting
Phelps.
it, I just would like,
Oh, I know, and I
I want to
understand.
see us still going after businesses to fund this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I
Okay, I
understand.
don't want to see this fall back, oh, the government's going to take care of it.
And
Absolutely.
they actually want to do this for the community.
Right.
It just, in the overall budget, I believe, and I could be wrong on these figures, so please, I think it's closer to 30 to 40,000.
Yeah.
Overall, that private industry is putting
Right,
forward. So for us
exactly.
to step up a little bit, other places, not that Mount Airy wants to do this, that's why we have huge reserves, because we do depend on private industry, we are very conservative.
Right.
But other communities have stepped, like Carroll County has stepped forward, the events have gotten so large, they've taken them over.
Well, and
Right.
it's, Peter,
Not that we
grew
wanna
up in
get there,
Rockville,
but-
the fireworks were at Richard Montgomery, and they're paid for by Parks and Recs in Rockville.
Yeah, so this
And
is.
Yeah, that's why you and I don't pay Rockville's tax rates anymore.
That's true.
You got it.
Good point, okay, fair.
Okay, well, I think, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We all want to see fireworks. Street closing request. We had one, Ken, I don't know if you wanted to address it,
Yeah, they use this every year, they close this road, and I make a motion, we grant them the road closure.
it was that one in Sterling Glen, right?
Yeah.
And I have the trooper sign
I will, the trooper signed off, I will second that. Ken's proposed it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Mayor and council reports. Mr. Mayor.
I will defer my report, I'll send it to council later.
All right. Up next, EDC,
And Planning Commission.
and that's right, it still says EDC Water and Sewer in here, so we do need to rearrange that. So we'll jump to EDC and planning, Bob.
Okay, and we're gonna touch on several other items also. The joint Frederick County, Carroll County MML chapter meeting is at Lorienzo's, 6 o'clock, June the 15th. That's a Monday, June the 15th.
And I'm sure you've both been invited to that.
Yes.
Just making sure you know, because it'll be
Right
two
next door at
doors down.
Lorienzo's.
It's right next door.
I know that you all get invitations to that.
It's a great event, because it's rare that, yes.
Lorienzo's, the Italian restaurant.
And we're the only municipality that hosts two counties.
So actually,
Right.
both counties will be here, all the Frederick.
And it is, and
More of a reason for you to come.
It's my wife's
and
birthday
bacon.
too, but she's coming.
Sounds
We'll have
we'll have a
birthday
margarita that day. Okay, so we got the joint, okay, the MML conference is June the 28th through July the 2nd in Ocean City. The council, and this is just for people that haven't gone before, we usually go out to dinner one night, all of us.
Usually Monday.
Yeah, usually Monday night, we go out to dinner. And we like to sit together at the banquet. And Peter, they've got a new system for doing that this year.
Okay, I will have to learn that so I can, because
And I
I've
don't-
traditionally been the line waiter.
I think it was in the magazine, and
Okay.
I can't find where I read it before.
All right. I will try
Okay.
and find that out.
Also, Mount Airy is going to have a booth in this year's Main Street Exhibit Hall. Melissa Thorne and Dick Swanson will be running that, so now Dick has another hat to wear. Beach hat, I guess. The Planning Commission, the meeting scheduled for May the 18th was postponed. June's meeting will be held a week early due to the MML conference on June the 22nd, Town Hall, 7 p.m. Let's see. The issues with the maps for the master plan are almost resolved, so we'll be printing up master plans real soon. The draft MXD and OPE zoning classifications are moving forward, and town staff and the town attorney are working on revisions to the water allocation ordinance to be presented to the council soon. Okay? Economic development, the guide to establishing a business in the town of Mount Airy has been fully updated and redesigned. Final proofs are being edited and will go to the printer in the next couple of days. Melissa Wilcox of Market Works is working on a marketing strategy for Mount Airy. The total cost of the project is $1,500 a year and includes all of Mount Airy with a focus on the downtown. Her focus will help develop a branding strategy to advertise the town's uniqueness. Water and parking and their impact on economic development are discussed at every meeting. Next EDC meeting will be on Wednesday, June the 24th, 7:30 at Town Hall. On the miscellaneous, on May the 21st, I attended a Project Open Space funding meeting in Walkersville. Grants for the 11 municipalities present totaled $615,000. The money that was available was just a tad under $300,000. So everybody had to just about cut their desires in half. Mount Airy was rewarded $25,000 for the rehabilitation of a basketball court in Prospect Park. We did not get $25,000 more. That was going to give us a soccer field. Brian said he could fit a soccer field in somewhere. That'll have to be next year. And that's just the Frederick County POS. Carroll County's coming up soon, I believe. Debbie will keep us informed.
Heather takes care of that, I gave her paperwork.
The second annual Joint Commissions meeting will be held on Tuesday, June the 9th at the Phoenix Room upstairs in Lorienzo's. All town commissions are requested to provide 2 representatives, and all the councilmen have been invited also. And I think, Mr. Mayor, you might be able to swing an invitation also if you talk to Mr. Butts back there.
It's a great meeting last year.
And
Great
on,
incentive, I do.
yes, it was. On June the 25th, I'll be attending a meet and greet with the Frederick County Council at Winchester Hall. The main purpose of this meeting will be to get to know each other and promote open lines of communication. And we're working to try to get maybe regional, I guess they are regional planning sessions between Frederick County, Carroll County, and the town of Mount Airy. That's the goal that we're eventually working for, and that is my report.
All right.
Fire.
Where has, who's now got Community Center Task Force? That used to
We
go with
haven't made
planning
a
and zoning.
decision yet, so
That's
I'm gonna ride shot on that for a while.
Okay, all right. Okay, then up next would be beautification, Parks and Rec. Jason?
Thank you. Up for beautification first, we have been generously donated 10 shrubs and some planting materials from the Mount Airy Main Street Association Sandra Dion Memorial Fund. So the boxwoods that you see all lined up along Main Street, those will soon be replaced with new material. And we also received a discount from Snell's Nursery as well on Route 27. The pavers, the wood pavers that are at Vest Pocket Park, those are going to be replaced with new stone pavers and edgers. So that will be delivered soon as well. The sign for Windy Ridge is going to be, sorry, I don't think it's Windy Ridge. I think it's another park.
East-west.
I'll have to check on that. There's an extra sign
Prospect.
that can either go at the caboose or at Rails to Trails. I forgot the name of the park, though. I'll check on that.
Watkins.
Yeah,
Wildwood.
maybe
Watkins
Watkins.
is done, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't tracking what you were saying.
Vest Pocket.
Yeah, they're gonna do a new sign for that one because the signs that were ordered are much larger than what
Park.
fits for
Big
Vest
park.
Pocket. So
It blocks the
it
park.
blocks the whole park.
That would be Vest Pocket Park. If you got a sign like all the others,
The
it
only
would still
choice-
park.
Only other choice have.
But there
have it
is
out
an
the
extra
street.
sign for the caboose or for Rails to Trails, so just a heads up on that. The new signs for all the parks are coming in July. Beautification talked about having a town cleanup day sometime in October when the heat has gone away. And all of the positions for that commission remain the same: chairperson, vice chair, and secretary. Next meeting is June 16th, 7 p.m. at Town Hall. Moving on to Parks and Recs. The dog fence is being coordinated with Brian and Maintenance to remove the fence and then also get the installation to occur soon after. So that will save costs on that. The drive-in movie night was a huge success. That took place on Saturday, this
That
past
was
Saturday.
a lot of fun. Great time.
That was amazing event. We had approximately about 75 people there attending. The next event, the next movie night will be June 19th, and that will be Ferris Bueller's Day Off at Watkins Park as well. Right around the same time, dusk time, 9 o'clock-ish.
June 19th is a Friday.
Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The town now has an official 5K route, so if we need to hold any running events or marathons, things like that. Camp night has been set for August 8th, and Councilman King mentioned the POS grant that we received, so. And next meeting's June 18th, 7:30, here at Town Hall. That concludes my report.
All right, recycling and sanitation. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, you wanted me to circle back to
Yeah, just on the
community
community center, I did blow over it kind of quickly, just to let you know, we did have a meeting last month, and it was attended by a few people coming out to see what was going on. We are encouraging people in the community to come out. We have not made a decision, this council has not made a decision, as you may have read by at least one editorial of a Howard County-sized community center. We're actually looking at options, and we encourage your input so we can the council can make the best choice. From the feedback we've received so far, Barney will be coming forward with a recommendation or an option list for council to consider. That will consist of a very small option to a large option. Thank you for circling.
Sure. Recycling and sanitation.
All right, thank you. So recycling sanitation does not have a meeting this month. Our next meeting is going to be the 1st of July at 7 p.m. To go over a couple things, this weekend coming up, we have the yard waste pickup. Touching on yard waste pickup, I know that we've had some issues with the service that we've received. Part of those issues were the fact that the vendor had missed an appointment that we had put on the calendar for yard waste. They came out a couple days later and picked it up, so I know that was a little trying for people.
When in doubt, leave it out.
Right, so they tried to get out there as quick as they could, and then I know the most recent one, due to the holiday weekend, they were behind trying to get their stuff picked up, but they were in touch with Town Hall, talked to the mayor, we were calling in streets that weren't being picked up, and they were going around picking that up. So to the public in general, leave it out. If it doesn't get picked up your normal time, like mine would come at 8 o'clock in the morning, we left it out 12, all of a sudden they showed up by the time I called Town Hall to say that there was a problem. And anybody else who called, they were going around and picking it up. So please call in, let Town Hall know that it didn't get picked up just in case, but realize we will get them out there and they will get it picked up.
After hours, Scott, what should they do? I mean, they can shoot you an email, they can shoot me an email, and I love the way you two tag team Facebook on that. That was good. But after hours?
So after hours, I would suggest that they still send email, still contact Town Hall, leave a voice message, and we can reach out to the provider and try and get them to pick it up either the next day or the next available service day. There's been times.
But not voicemail, because nobody's going to get the voicemail at Town Hall.
Only if it's on your fault. Right. But no, I mean,
His
if they.
Probably
mailbox is
emails,
full.
probably emails.
His mailbox is full. There's no more voicemail.
Email is probably the best.
Yeah, yeah, sure
But
send
the fact that if they send it, they actually will send out their guys, even if it's not a big truck. They've shown up before with a pickup truck and just picked everything up and driven off with it. Some people.
Because
around
I'm
the
afraid it's
neighborhood.
going to happen again.
But
Well-
yeah, and I hope it doesn't, but we're trying to address the situation with the service provider.
Yeah, good job.
So, and that's it. So
One,
All right,
one
thanks.
comment. And this is simply because me and Mary Van Meter set the schedule up that we're dealing with now. We never even thought to look at holiday weekends. Last weekend was a holiday weekend, and that's when, you know, everything got picked up on Sunday and all that kind of. I think we ought to try to make sure we do that in the future, because I saw everybody with their bags out, and I said, there is
Well, you're trying to
nobody-
hit every other week, so that's kind of difficult.
But it doesn't get
weed.
every other week. We end up with 2 a month, and there's some times when you
Oh, is
have
it 2 a
3
month?
weeks
Well,
with the way it works.
There's a couple months where we have one.
Right.
And we
Oh,
have
is
to
there?
schedule an extra.
Right.
Okay.
July and August, we always had 1 pickup. Okay,
We
and
figured it's so
June,
hot.
June you could end up with 2 pickups or 3 picks up. Just depends on the way it works. But that's something we ought to take into consideration, because, you know, we're asking those guys to come out on a holiday. We don't want to go out. So that's something.
If I could just throw this out on the table, since we're talking about this, I did have one request, I'm sure there's others, to reopen a recycling center in Mount Airy. I know we had one in Frederick County over by the industrial park, and there
Right.
was complaints because of the smell.
Yeah, Twin
And
Ridge
we
was
took it away.
crazy
But I
about it.
did notice down behind the municipal building that there is a little pile building up there, and this is something for you guys to consider, maybe talk about, throw it on your
When
agenda
you
if you
say
have
the
a like.
municipal building.
Going down behind Prospect
Oh, the
Park.
maintenance building.
And see,
Yeah,
I
there's-
think we actually had it there when you and I were on or Parks and Recs a long time ago,
Yeah,
Peter.
you're talking a long time ago.
300 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago.
Well, I know that used to be the dump.
Right, okay.
The park was a dump. If you dig down in there, you'll still find all the old
Way
junk that
down
people threw.
behind Prospect was where everybody took their yard waste.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Well,
it went-
there's a place there now. so.
Then it went to Rising Ridge Road.
And citizens complained the smell.
The smell
and
was
then-
terrible.
Yeah, and maybe it would be the same issue there, I don't know.
I don't know.
The
It's gonna
topology.
stink wherever
may-
you put it.
Yeah, topology may be different, maybe that one house is really upset, I don't know, just something to think about, I don't know.
Yeah,
Because
and
the
really-
reason I bring it up, because there's a pile there now,
Yeah,
and some people have asked.
Jason?
My one other comment, almost on the same topic of holiday weekends, is that with Monday holiday, recycling for that regular recycling had gotten pushed back as
Yeah,
well.
always does.
And so if we are able to at least know that and post that something to our website so that people go, okay, if it's not Wednesday, it's gonna be Thursday.
Right, and so we do post stuff
That's
to the
standard,
website
Yeah,
and
They-
end up saying, here's the dates
yeah, they
for
try to
pickup.
tweet
Okay.
it, they try to hit Facebook.
fantastic.
So if there is a holiday, it is always the alternate, the next day.
Right.
It should be the next
Because
day
that-
with everything pushed back.
Everything.
And
When in
so-
doubt,
Well,
Right.
leave it out.
Absolutely,
See,
absolutely.
it happens with
But
the
you're right, Jason, that
recycling.
came up years
No,
ago.
I just wanted to, it
Good
came
to
up again this
good
past
to
week.
It
reinforce
did,
so.
it did. I put mine out and they didn't get it and I was like, oh, it's a holiday. I'll just leave it for the next day.
Yeah.
Well,
And they
Pete,
came and got it.
They came and
They came and
got it.
Pete Vallis called me the other night, and he was headed to the dump Saturday morning. He wanted to know if I had any bags of yard waste, and I had 2 of them sitting there. He said, put them at your curb. And I said, no, everybody in the neighborhood thinks I know what's going on. So they'll put theirs
They'll
out.
follow you.
They'll put theirs
They'll
out.
put
Pete will
theirs
take
out.
my 2 bags.
It'll be
and
the
everybody
wave. It'll be the wave through Mount Airy, then Summit Ridge,
I hadn't thought
Nottingham.
about that. You're the trendsetter in the neighborhood when it comes to waste, Bob.
Well, they just and I screw up because I took my recycling out on Wednesday, Tuesday night, Wednesday, and it sat out there for a whole day.
Yeah, mine did too. Mine did too. All
Things a
right.
retired councilman might do.
All right. Streets and roads, Ken?
Yeah, we didn't have a meeting last month. Next meeting is the 25th of June. Just a couple of comments that don't put your grass cuttings in the road. I see more and more people putting their grass cuttings in the road and in the street. So make sure you turn your mower and throw it inside. Also, starting the 14th, we do have the concerts in the park again this year in Wildwood Park. They start June the 14th. And this has been sponsored by Twin Arch Self-Storage Center for many, many years, and he still continues to support that. We have 2 concerts a month, the 2nd and 4th Sunday in June, July, and August. And also, we're going to have one on August 30th. So we're going to have 3 of them in August. And so that's a very nice event. It's free. Come out and enjoy yourself.
And they're great concerts, too.
Yeah.
They really are.
They actually are. Your son sang at one,
He'll
and
be here this year.
just a little plug for your son. I don't know if everybody received my email, but sometimes during the beautiful summer weather, we will play CDs. And last weekend, I played Ken's son. It was patriotic.
He'll be there.
Memorial
He'll
Day.
be there.
Fantastic.
He'll be there August 30th.
You don't want to miss Ken's son.
Yeah, and most of the bands that are there are really, really good.
Yeah.
And they draw well from the Wildwood neighborhood.
We hope to get this on the town calendar so we can promote it.
Oh,
We
that-
absolutely
that'd be
should get
good.
it on town
Yeah.
calendar.
That's my report.
All right, I'll do water and sewer now because it was mixed in with one of the ones up above. I have not met with water and sewer yet. They will be meeting this Wednesday for the first time. I do have a short report here that Dick passed on to me. On May 27th, Monica Weyerbach and Dick toured 7 stormwater management projects throughout Carroll County as part of the Water Resource Coordination Council Joint Carroll County Municipal Stormwater Management and Mitigation Program. The county and Mount Airy are looking at 6 potential projects within the town limits, 3 in Frederick, 3 in Carroll, for stormwater mitigation to be completed over a 5-year period. So that would be my my water and sewer report. And the other thing is we, of course, dealt with we had the fast oil and grease ordinance issue, which we dealt with earlier. And I'll move on to our town administrator report.
Well, you just stole my information, but that's okay.
I emailed that I would cover it.
No, that was a good field trip, actually. It was an all-day thing. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that Seamus Mooney from the Frederick County Emergency Alert Operations Office is going to come and train some staff on their updated platform for their emergency alert system. And we're going to do that probably mid to late June. Anybody who wants to
Good
come to
stuff,
that.
and
It's for
Frederick, thank you for
internal
that.
alerts and external alerts to our citizens that are signed up for the system.
Now, and Frederick County has actually allowed us to bring Carroll County's
Yes.
side of Mount Airy
Yes,
on
that's
board.
right.
We appreciate that, Frederick
Right.
County. It's a good program. We're, just say, you're
We
welcome.
said we appreciate it, just say thank you. You're welcome.
It's the emergency notification, and since we're a split town, it's difficult for us to have two different emergency notifications. And Frederick County's let us offer that to our
Is
Carroll
that it,
County
Monica?
side to have
All
one.
right, Tom, you're up.
Most of my efforts over the last month have been directed to two pieces of litigation that hopefully you all have received my status reports on, and in which town staff members were deposed, and we deposed others, witnesses in the cases. I'll leave you the rest of that to my privileged communications to you. The only other thing that I have on the in the public meeting in terms of the town attorney report, in your package you should have a deed of easement form for the Mount Airy Apartments. I think more specific details we have to discuss in closed session today, but at Barney's request I did prepare the deed of easement form that if ultimately we acquire it, at least in form, would look like this. I do think that Barney is interested in acquiring this easement if we can. Between now and July, this has to do with an easement across the Mount Airy Apartments to extend sewer pipes. And again, we'll have more detailed discussion in closed session, but at least the format, because I think Barney wants to acquire sometime during this month, I thought that you all could at least approve the deed of easement in form, so that if we do acquire it, then the mayor will already be authorized to sign this deed of easement. So.
Is no money gonna be exchanged on that?
Well, we have to talk about that.
And that would have to come back here,
The way this is
presumably.
drafted is, currently is with no monetary consideration, as it's currently drafted, but
And
that's something.
if that
we
changes, that would have to
talk-
come back here, correct?
Well, it may, depending on what we discuss in closed session, yes.
Okay. I guess then, for a substance perspective, I would move that we accept the deed of easement. We're obviously going to get into the details in the closed session, but we do need to formally vote on that in a public session.
I'll second it.
Well, I think Ken already seconded. Is
Okay.
that
I got my
correct?
pen up first. on
He
that.
has his pen up
I didn't
first.
have my pen in my hand, Ken.
Any discussion,
now.
other than obviously, because it's real property, we'll be discussing that in closed session, so we have to be limited on what we can discuss here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
And that's it for the town attorney.
Okay. Is there any other business? I will move that the bills be paid. Do I hear a second from Scott? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I am going to move that we adjourn and immediately go into a closed meeting, after which we will be formally adjourned. The closed meeting will be for the purpose of discussing acquisition of real property, specific rails to trails, the sewage easement, as well as discussion of legal advice from our council. The vote, Helt, aye. King?
Aye.
Phoebus?
Aye. Aye.
Poirier? Aye. Strong?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in closed session. Well, and guys, just in a couple minutes, give her a chance to get cleared out.